Welcome to Loving Me Before I Love You with Tammy Nicole, the podcast dedicated to you loving and putting yourself first. Others have come first in your life for years, and you know it's time for that to change. You're about to be empowered to set healthy boundaries, confidently have hard conversations, unapologetically put yourself first, and live the peaceful life you deserve. Remember, self-love is essential, and loving yourself sets the stage for every other love in your life. So get ready to embrace self-love like never before with your host, Coach Tammy Nicole.
Hey, it's Transformation Tuesday over at Loving Me Before I Love You. Now, you guys know it's a brand new month. We are in the month of March, and we do themes around here. And this month is leadership. And y'all know leadership is a quality that we all should have. I personally think we do, but some of us just don't tap into it. So I want you to imagine yourself standing in a room and you have been given a title. Maybe you're a manager, maybe you're a C-suite leader, and you are in this room to present to people, but you are shaking in your boots. You have no confidence, and you are just like, I know I'm supposed to be here because I got this title, but I don't really believe I'm supposed to be here because of my own insecurities. Well, I want you to take a moment and say, you know what? I've gotten some training. I've unlocked my inner confidence. And now I'm back in this same space and in this same room presenting. And now I'm unshakable. Now they can't tell me nothing. Now they can't tell me nothing because I actually believe in me. I actually trust myself. And I have actually learned how to unlock the inner confidence within me. So now I walk in the room with my head held high. And I'm able to fully connect and commit to the assignment. Well, that's exactly where we want you to be. We want you to be unlocked, walking in a unshakable confidence like none other, be it for your personal life, be it for your career, be it within your family. We want you to be confident and your own personal leader. And so we're going to kick this month leadership focus off with a friend. His name is Mr. Larice, and Mr. Larice is a motivational speaker. Not only does he motivate others to be resilient and to be confident, he motivates them to lead with excellence and lead with assurance. And he's here to help you unlock your inner confidence. Welcome to the show, Larice.
Oh my gosh, that intro. I don't know. How do I follow that at all? Like, that was so amazing. You know what? I might need to hire you. It's like, introduce me anywhere. Like, that was so amazing. Unbelievable. Like, way better than me. Like, you know what? I believed in you. Like, seriously.
That's what you're supposed to do. Unlock the inner confidence. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you are joining us to talk about leadership and the inner confidence that we should all have in just leading life, in general. But even more so, if you are in corporate America, in somebody's leadership role, that you walk in it with confidence.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. And, I've encountered many different individuals who are C-suite owners, executives, VPs, and even myself, just being a leader for my own business. I've had several business and employees, and I had to learn how to step up. Because, when you first have your first business, you're just kind of going, you're doing it. But when you begin to hire people, then it makes you think about, am I capable of being able to manage someone else besides myself? Am I capable of delegating and letting them know that, hey, I'm still in charge, but I'm still here with you? Am I capable of being able to create an environment that's not only welcoming, but very supportive and a growth environment for my employees? And so over the last 6 years, I became a life and leadership coach outside of motivational speaking. And what I've done, I've basically coached so many leaders, just from small business owners to people who are VPs or executives and people who just want to even just grow within their own organization and just feeling like, how can I build the confidence within myself? you know. And like I tell them, you're not alone. And that's one thing that we have to realize, that we're not alone when we're actually feeling the need of wanting more. But
Mhm.
like, it's like as a kid, like when I grew up as a child, right? I knew the answer, but I was always afraid to ask for help. Until now, I tell even adults, like, don't be afraid to ask for help. You're not alone. Somebody wants you to, hey, stand up and raise your hand and say, hey, I want to take on a new role of responsibility, but it's up to you.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think a lot of times when we are desiring the need for more, I think a lot of times we are fearful because though we want the like more responsibility, we don't really know what that responsibility entails per se. We know from the outside looking in, it's like, when you see someone that's super successful, right? You're like looking at them and you're like, oh, I want what they have. You want the outcome. You want the results, but you don't really know what it took for them to actually reach those results. So it's like, I want that. It's almost like putting your foot in a pool of water that may be cold, and you just like, let me test it a little bit. Let me tap. Oh, wait, that's too cold. I don't think I'm gonna jump in there yet. Or, you want to go swimming, and we've always been taught, jump in. Let the body have the initial shock. That initial shock is over, then you can go on about your business. The pool gets warm all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Like everything is just like what it's supposed to be. And so when we don't jump in and get that responsibility that we kind of like want, it's like we just like playing peekaboo with it. What is the one thing that you encourage people to do to stop playing peekaboo?
It's just about building, like you spoke in the beginning. It's about that inner confidence in your ability to trust in yourself, to be able to take on new challenges for yourself. And a lot of times we're not encouraged to take new challenges because it's about our environment of people. You might be surrounded around coworkers or, friends who don't take risks. And you have to tell yourself, if this is something that you want, how do I take a risk on me? We take a risk on so many other people by showing up for work. We take risks for our friends. We take risks for everything else but ourselves. And the key factor is that as you're trusting yourself, you have to begin to develop a growth mindset that allows you to want to learn, want to inquire. It's not like, the example that you gave, like, oh, we just jump in the pool and we get adjusted to the water. But what you can do, you can basically dip your toe into
Mm-hmm.
understanding new information until you can say, you know what, as a kid, what do? We start in the kiddie pool, and then we go to 3 feet, and then we go to 6 feet. And
Yeah.
eventually you be able to take actionable steps that allows you to say, I'm growing in the direction that I want to grow because I'm learning at a slower pace. But it starts with setting a goal for yourself. Like, what is that ultimate goal? If it's a, hey, I want to improve my career. I want to become a executive. I want to start my own business. Okay, where do I lack in that? If I'm just starting, I have no knowledge of how to do it. Okay, let me pull out a pen and paper and say, what are the pros and cons of me actually taking this initiative to be able to start something new or to advance my
Mm-hmm.
career or to start that business, right? What are my skill sets that I currently have that I can apply to learning from my current experience to be able to say I can apply this towards the new career that I want to achieve. And then you're gonna have to look at it and say, okay, what support system do I have? Who is supporting me if I want to do this? A lot of times we go at it alone because our current environment don't basically support our growth. Like I'm pretty sure you heard like, why did you start a podcast or why did you do this? It's like because of this is my passion. This is
Yeah.
what I want to do. And we have to get out of the comfort zone of being afraid to take risk on ourselves and also being afraid to grow. And I say grow, and people always say it's not about education. It is about education. It's about your willingness and your ability of wanting to learn so that you can take the risk, take the calculated risk for yourself. And as you say, the pool analogy, oh, let me get some flotation device. Let me get some support. Let me begin to practice more. Let me learn more. Let me see, does my pros outweigh my con? What actionable steps that I need? How do I set these goals? Small attainable goals, not the big picture, but small attainable goals. Too many times we look at the big goal because I just want that. I want what everybody else have, but you don't really understand what it took to get there.
Yep.
Right. And it's funny you say about jobs because I was just reading an article about the new Gen Alphas and how companies are laying them off because of they don't have the educational capacity. They don't have the drive. Like they got put in positions because they was fresh out of college, but now it's that they don't have the work ethic. They don't have the skill set. They don't have the
Hmm.
knowledge. And instead of keeping them, they're laying them off because they're not willing to learn. They're not willing
Yeah.
to push themselves. And if you're looking for opportunity to grow and expand your leadership, you have to push yourself.
Absolutely. But I think like trust within yourself actually builds from education, right?
Hmm.
What makes a person feel confident and going into saying or doing anything is the knowledge that they have about that thing. I remember being a kid and my mom used to always tell me, she goes, you can make anybody believe anything because you believe it. So it's not just about, you know, just what you know, but it's also about what you believe in what you know. Because if you believe in yourself and trust yourself, then you show up a lot differently. Like you show up looking like you believe it. You show, like you don't come in timid. I was literally watching the other day a TikTok, and the girl was talking about how to walk in like you belong. And she's like, you don't walk in with your head looking into your phone like, oh, this is a, little networking thing. And you like walking in and you like head down in the phone, like acting like you looking at something on good and well. You ain't looking at nothing. You're just nervous about being there. You walk in with your head held high, phone in your pocket, and see and look at people dead in their face to see and engage with them. I think when we lack the confidence, it's more so we lack the belief. We lack the faith in us, and
Hmm.
we don't trust ourselves. But in order to learn to trust yourself, at least what I teach the ladies that I work with, you have to be consistent with doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
So you build trust in you by being consistent in what you say you're going to do for you. And then once you trust yourself, then you can go in and show people that you can lead them because you
Yeah.
learned how to lead your own life.
And that's so important because one of the key things about that I tell people is that you have to learn to lead from within, lead from who you are and understanding your self worth. And when I became a motivational speaker, I became such a good motivational speaker because of my passion. Because I felt like I belong being able to speak to individuals, to be able to speak about my past, being able to speak about positive motivation and say, hey, I understand who you are, right? But outside the knowledge, like you said, it's about, are you trusting your ability to make
Mm-hmm.
decisions? And that's one thing about key leadership is that they have to be able to make decisions. And do they trust the decision that they're making? When you think about all the top companies right now, the CEOs, right? They trust that this CEO is going to make the best decision just for profit, for growth, for marketing, from ideas, because of he's that person. He or she is that person who has displayed great leadership over time because they believe in their knowledge. They believe in their ability to be able to have some sort of success with an organization,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when you think about leading from within yourself, are you confident? Like, where's your confidence come from? You know, and we typically, when you say trust, a lot of time we back away from trust because of past mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And when we make a mistake, it's like, ooh, I don't feel so confident in the mistakes that I make. But in the reality is that, like I tell my clients, that you have to learn from your mistakes. What did you learn? It's not like,
Yeah.
oh, well, and people always look at, oh, the word failure. I say, it's not failure when you learn,
It's
right?
lessons.
And just because something didn't work out the way you hope for it to work out doesn't mean it didn't work out. because you have the ability to learn, to grow. You have the ability to take a risk, to challenge yourself, and now you get to say, how do I utilize those skill sets and what I learned to basically improve my next decision? And I think people fail to look at those small, minute successes
Hmm.
because of they don't get the big success. They don't get the hoorah, from the things that they do. And so, like you said, it's about trust. Are you trusting
Yeah.
yourself? Do you understand your self worth? Like, what is your passion?
Yeah.
Are the decision that you're making align with your values? I tell my clients all the time when they first come to me, what are your values? It's like, crickets, right? Because we lose those contexts of life because one, either we have values of other people or we just haven't basically taken the time to reestablish our own values so that when we do be able, so when we actually make decisions, like I'm making decisions based on my value. I'm making ethical decisions based on, the direction I want to go, ethical decision of the actual company or organization. I'm
Hmm.
making decisions based on the factors of what I believe is right, not only just for my personal gain, but right for the organization and the team that I'm actually like developing or working with.
Right. So I think a lot of times when we do that though, like when we like, oh, I can't believe in me for X, Y, and Z, I think we do it from a standpoint of fear,
Hmm.
not just, I want X, Y, and Z. I'm afraid, like I want it, but I'm kind of afraid to tap in.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Like the fear of it all is like, man, if I do this, then what? What's going to happen if I do it? The unknown, it's like, okay, that person over there, they got what I want, right? They in the house that I want to be in, they got the cars that I want, they look like they got the friends I desire because they hanging out, they posting all their socials, and it just looks like the life I want to live. But if I step out of where I'm at to go after what I see, I don't know. It's like, I know I want that, but I just don't know if I want the journey. You know what I mean? Like, because I really don't know what they did to get there. All I know is that they're there and I desire it and I want it and I want to be able to tap in. So that fear, like, how do they overcome that piece of fear that keep them stuck?
Okay. So you really have to think about like the things that you desire that other people have. You have to ask yourself, am I really willing to put in the work? When you look at the average YouTuber and their success, like Mr. Beast, right? He said it took him 10 years to even
Mm-hmm.
become who he is today. Are you willing to put in that work? You might desire, and your fear come from, I'm afraid of work. Most of my clients, it's about the fear of stepping out of their comfort zone and really having to focus, really having to set goals. And it's about, I have to I have to have accountability for myself. I have to really look at myself and say, how do I get there? I
Yeah.
don't know their journey, but am I willing to ask questions? Am I willing to ask them like, hey, can you show me what you did to become successful? I think they have
Mentor.
they have so many things now where it's that, you have individuals going up to successful people. Like, how did you become successful? Like you said, one is like, oh, I got a mentor. Oh, well, I changed my mindset and how I saw myself. Like I was $500,000 in debt. And how do you get out of $500,000 in debt? I hired a mentor. I created new skills for myself. I began to believe in myself. I began to have passion for my vision. And the list can go on and on and on. But you have to find your purpose. Why do you want this?
Yeah.
That fear leaves when you find purpose, when you find clarity, when you find a vision for yourself to reason, why do I want this? Do I want this because, oh, I just want to be like my neighbors? I want to have what they have. Or do you want it because you want to be able to build wealth for yourself? You want to
Yeah.
basically be able to serve other people with the newfound wealth that you have. You want to say, hey, I want to make sure that my kids kids don't struggle the way I struggle. You have to find your purpose. And behind that purpose, you have to find the passion to get out of your comfort zone and say, hey, you know what? That's fear. But some fear is good fear,
Mm-hmm.
because that same fear pushes you to want to learn more. It pushes you to have a bigger desire. It pushes you to trust in yourself. It pushes you to say, you know what? I get to show up for me today because of my fear. And people feel like fear is a bad thing, which fear is really an emotional thought. It's an emotional feeling that you have. It's
Yeah.
not the mental aspects. It's not the physical aspect. It's an emotion that you're having. And sometimes people allow their emotions because of their past to prevent them from actually achieving anything in the present moment in life.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think a lot of times we do have to tap into what are, like you said, your value and what you desire out of life. Scarcity and fear, are they the same or are they different?
Uh,
Because, uh-huh. that
uh,
that that part right there. Uh-huh.
I think like when people say I have abundance, I mean I have too much. Scarcity, I don't have enough, right? And I think scarcity is different because I have scarce education, or I have a scarce network of people, or I don't. I have a scarcity in my environment of positive people, right? But when you have those scarcity, you can change that. The same way you can change your fear, and that's just changing your environment. And go ahead.
So scarcity for me is the fear of being in a certain spot. So when let's think about poverty.
Hmm.
When you grow up in a impoverished environment as a kid, and then now you become an adult and now you have a little money. You ain't even gonna have a lot of money, but you have a little money. And it's a little money that says, I'm never gonna be poor, right? It's enough money that says, I'm never gonna be poor. So your scarcity mindset pushes you to do things like overwork,
Hmm.
workaholic, no vacation, no rest, no nothing. Like, because I refuse for my lights to ever be turned off. So, but I can have $1 million in the bank. But the fear that I will lose that $1 million tomorrow because the scarcity of the lack that I had as a kid being present creates a fear that it will reoccur. And that fear turns into an action of, mm-mm, that ain't never happening. So I'm going to overdo this one thing. Scarcity. It's like the fear of lack, the fear of not having enough, the fear of being inadequate.
Okay, and I can see your point on that. And like to me, like you said, like when you have that lack, it's like how do you provide yourself reassurance? And in that reassurance is that to me is that I have to provide myself more confident in my ability.
Mm-hmm.
Like even though I came from poverty, but um, I'm actually more successful today than my family. And a lot of people live out of that scarcity and fear of actually going back to poverty. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing about poverty is that if you learn how to do it once, you can basically do it again. And that's why most millionaires say, "Hey, if I lost all my money today,
Today.
right?" In 30 days, can I basically make $1 million? And they guarantee say, yes, because I have the knowledge.
Yep.
I have the ability, I have the confidence in my ability to make $1 million because I have knowledge. So they
Yep.
don't live in scarcity. It's just about your ability to say, afraid, fear. Why? It's an emotion. Fear is an emotion that we live with every single day.
Yep.
But scarcity is your ability to perform for yourself. It's the confidence within yourself to say, how do I get rid of scarcity? You have to learn more. You have to build your confidence. You have to
Yep.
trust in yourself. You have to become a great decision maker. You have to basically say, you know what, no matter what happens in my life,
Yep.
I can do this again. And
Yep.
I say that because I've probably had 5 businesses in my lifetime, right? Some with friends, some with other business owners, right? Went crazy, lost the business, right? But then I told myself that I can recreate this, in which I did recreate 2 of the businesses because I had the knowledge
Hmm.
And I wasn't afraid to step out and do it again because I
Yes.
trusted myself.
Wow, today's episode is a good one. I know you're enjoying it, and we'll get back to it shortly. Just wanted to take a quick break to let you know that Tammy would love for you to share any questions, comments, or topic ideas you have with her. All you have to do is send them to her in an email to podcast@IamTammyNicole.com. Thank you, and without further ado, let's get back into today's show.
The other thing is to celebrate the small wins. So you mentioned a moment ago about not having the hoopla, like not being able to be like, oh my God, this is like, boom, amazing. I think you reach the boom. It's amazing when you celebrate the little things. So yes, you may not make it to C-suite on your promotional journey, but you went from being a subordinate to somebody's manager, to the general manager, to then turn around to be the regional man. Like, you're still climbing the ladder, and being able to celebrate the small wins help you go after the larger win each time. It's like a building block. It stacks, it stacks, it stacks until you reach your pivotal moment. But to build your confidence in anything, you got to celebrate the small wins. If you minimize any win, you are going to make the confidence journey very long.
I feel like you're talking to me right now because it took me such a long time. I was like, oh man, that kind of a touchy point because even out of all my success, like if the last probably like 2 years, I started celebrating the small wins because I felt that I wasn't there yet. I wasn't there yet. I had to work harder. I had to do more. I had to build my network. I had to change who I was. And to me, nothing was never good enough for me. So I didn't know how to celebrate those small ones, even when I was managers for corporations and stuff, where, you did 130% of this quarter and, you did the same metrics for 3 quarters in a row and your team is doing amazing. When I started my own business, the success that I have, just the network that I had. I never celebrated because I felt like, oh, that's just nothing. That's just what's supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, and everybody would say, "Oh my gosh, you're doing such a great job! Like you don't seem excited about it." I was like, "Because I'm not where I wanted to be," and it was so hard for me because I didn't see that.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for just kind of like family, and it puts you in a bad mindset. No matter how great you are, when you don't celebrate yourself, and when you always feel that like I'm not there yet or I'm not good
Yeah.
enough yet, it does tears your confidence down, which makes you want to work harder. But then you also spiral out because you're just more stressed because
Yeah.
I'm just not there yet. I'm just keep
Yeah.
working. I'm just not there yet
Yeah.
because I never knew how to celebrate the small wins.
Yeah.
I never.
And
Go
it
ahead.
can do two things. It can do two things. It can push you or it can make you quit, right? Like, negative self-talk can do one of two things. It can be a motivator, and it depends
Mhm.
on what type of person you are, if it becomes a motivator. But the other thing, it can be, oh no, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. So then you start talking negative about what you're doing, and then what happens? You just stop.
Yeah.
So having the small wins is super important because it allows you, one, to keep going. And
Yeah.
then, as you mentioned, other people mentioning it, if you are recognizing that other people are recognizing something in you that you haven't recognized within yourself, it's in those moments that you need to take a pause.
I agree.
It's
And to me, and what really changed me because I had a coach at the time. It's like a coach having a coach. But I had a coach
always.
at the time, and he was just like, Larice, like, you're doing so many amazing things. You're helping so many people. He's like, but you're not giving yourself grace, and you don't have, where's your compassion for everything that you're doing? Like, you're not celebrating. He's like, it's okay to pat yourself on the back. And when I began to do that, the stress kind of like I no longer had to stress. I felt like the vision was clearer. Now I had more clarity. I felt I had more purpose. I began to not be so hard on myself, but I was able to talk to myself in an even more positive way. I was already positively motivated, but then I get to tell myself, like, you know what? You did a great job today. It's something that I didn't do. And then, I got to look at myself and say, you're changing a lot of people's lives. Like you're serving a lot of people and doing a lot of great things. Give yourself grace when you make mistakes, when you can't, when you don't feel great today because, whatever, because just natural health and whatever the reason may be, you can't always be that 100%, but be thankful for who you are today. And so this year, like I tell my clients and everything, is like, keep your promises to yourself every day. Whatever your promise is for yourself, say, I want to accomplish this today. If it's reading for 30 minutes, if it's in your Bible for 30 minutes, if it's basically showing up for a friend, keep your promises for yourself. And it allowed me to even express more gratitude for myself because it's those small little intricate goals that you set for yourself increases your confidence so much more because you kept that promise to yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is basically what I was saying in the beginning when you learn how to trust you. When you can trust you, you do it because you set something and you actually follow through. A lot of us have inconsistency. And when you're inconsistent, the lack of belief that you will do something increases. It's like if I don't do something that I say I'm going to do for myself all the time, I don't believe I'm going to do it. I'm just out here saying stuff. You know what I mean? Like when I teach women how to build healthy boundaries for themselves, a boundary allows you to keep yourself protected from a lot of things, but you can't expect boundaries from other people that you don't provide to yourself. I can't tell you keep your word to me if I don't keep my word to myself.
Yeah.
I can't expect, and we always say don't expect you from other people, but in the same token, you should expect yourself to do the things that you want to expect from others.
And you know what, Tammy, like, and the key part of that happening is that you have to learn how to love yourself. Um, and that's the one thing I ask most people when I take on my new clients, that, do you love yourself? How much time are you spending with yourself, learning something new about yourself, challenging yourself, and being able to say, hey, how do I get to show up for myself? Like, we live in this world where we get to show up for ourselves every single day, right? 99% of the people don't show up for themselves even in 365 days, because they feel that they're inadequate enough, because they was taught that it's not about you, it's about everyone else. And but what people realize is that in order for you to love yourself, you have to make sure that you trust in yourself. You trust in your ability to make decisions for yourself. You trust in your opportunity to grow and learn for yourself. Creating a safe space or environment, like you said, healthy boundaries. And I always tell people that for the longest time when I was young, it took me a long time to understand what boundaries were, right? Because like when I grew up, I was the smallest one in the family, and everybody was bigger than me, all my friends, and I'm like, okay, that's okay, that's okay. When I got to college, same thing. But when I found the power of no, telling somebody no, because of it supported the healthy boundaries that I wanted for myself, and not saying no just to be vindictive of me, but really saying no because I'm taking my power back of who I am as a person, but I'm also setting boundaries that allows me to be me and to love myself and not feeling obligated to be everything for everyone else. And then as a leader, you have to set those same boundaries for yourself. And that's like you set those boundaries between personal life, professional life, and time for yourself. Because when you don't set boundaries, you can spiral out because you have high stress. Your decision making skills are not. You're not confident in who you are. Your communication lacks. Like you don't you don't take the time to educate yourself or find mentors or coach to improve yourself because you don't have boundaries for yourself. And when you learn how to set those boundaries and stick by those boundaries and incorporate your values and
Yeah.
understand what your strengths are, you can expect to basically to perform at your best because you're missing things.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a car with no gas or a car with no oil. It's not going to move. It's not going to get you to where you want to be.
Yeah.
But also throughout that is about enjoying the process as you begin to set healthy boundaries because that process is very important because you get to understand who you once were and who you actually becoming as you go through the journey and the process of becoming a better person.
Absolutely. I think a lot of us are looking for validation from others in order to affirm who we are. And the issue with that is that you're the only person to know who you are. We have gone so long allowing other people to tell us who we are, and we have just basically tried to adhere to those standards. Oh, I'm supposed to be this. Oh, okay, let me do the things that are required for me to be at that level because you said that's who I am. And reality is you have to decide who you are for you and stop looking for other people to validate you. Validate yourself. Affirm yourself. Start with you. Stop people pleasing. Stop doing the things that other people just desire. And it starts with parenting. Like literally, I just wrote a book that I released last month about for moms learning how to stop generational trauma through the power of self-love. Like love you first. The kids will see how to love you, how they should love themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
you can stop generational trauma because I mean, like, what are we doing? Like, if you struggle with it, 9 times out of 10, you're teaching your children to struggle with it because you do what you know. You know, the most freeing thing of trauma today, as people are learning to understand who they are and where they come from, the most freeing thing is understanding, yo, your parents did what they know. They didn't do what you think that they should have done. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
know no better.
Yeah.
Like they just didn't. But now you do. So when you know better, my uncle used to say, you know better, you do better. You should do better. You know what I mean? Like you maybe can't change the trauma you've already created, but you can change the moving forward of trauma that you should never create again. You know what I mean? Like, and help them unpack the stuff that has occurred.
As you're saying that, Tammy, like outside of developing leaders, like when I coach people one on one, a lot of it stems from their lack of confidence because of the rejection that they receive, throughout
Mm,
life from like a little kid, and they have to heal from that as a
yeah,
person. And so, when I ask her, like, so what is your goal? Like, what do you want for yourself right now? Is that I want to be happy. Identify
yeah,
what that is that we don't have a lot of clarity on what we
yeah,
want because we're living a life for what everybody else say we supposed to be
yeah,
instead of living a life for who we are in the direction that we want to grow and how we want to build within ourselves. And it really comes from, again, when you're being rejected so much, your confidence level, what you consider self-esteem level, we have low self-esteem. And so we have to get back to a place of how do we build that self-esteem within ourselves?
yeah,
It's talking about that inner confidence. And it really starts by talking to yourself positively. Like your parents are your parents. Nobody's parents is perfect, right? But when you have the opportunity to change something about yourself and not continue to put blame on other people, take that opportunity. And it really starts by, hey, you know what? I have childhood trauma. You telling yourself this. I understand that my parents didn't give me everything that I possibly need. And you're talking to yourself about this. But I also understand that I have a choice and a right to change that within myself. And so
yeah,
you ask yourself, how do I do that? And I tell people all the time, like we live in a world where we can have information at the click of our fingertips, right? But the difference is that we don't utilize it because we're so drawn to TikTok, social media, and entertainment versus let me heal from my trauma by asking Google how to build confidence for a 18-year-old man struggling with this, and this. How to build confidence as an adult who lack motivation. How
Mhm.
do I make a choice and being able to improve who I am as a person? And it's just about asking questions. We're not taught to ask enough questions. And because of that, it prevents us from actually overcoming the things that we struggle with the most: trauma, confidence, love, self respect, self worth, leadership from within ourselves. It's that we got to begin to ask more questions and always understand that you're not alone. Like
Right.
9 times out of 10, if you got 8 friends, I guarantee you 6 of those friends struggling with the same thing that you're struggling with, and nobody want to talk about it.
Yeah. We lack the ability of being authentic, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of us are in what I call make believe relationships. They are the relationships that everything is on the surface. Nothing is deep. Nothing is that inner deep dive conversations. We don't know how to be genuine. We don't know how to be transparent. And we don't know how to be honest. And I always tell people honesty and transparency are two different things.
Mhm.
Um, but we have to get to a place of being authentic. And when you can be authentic, I think is where inner confidence and all of those things start to brew and develop and grow, because you can be real with who you are, where you are, and where you're trying to go.
You say that because even though we have to be there, but it's so hard because if I'm a person just like I tell people, I'm an open book. You ask me a question, I give you an answer. I don't mind being transparent about what I've struggled with and what I am struggling with because it doesn't make any, like, I can't help you if I keep everything to myself, right?
Hmm.
And just getting people to understand that don't be embarrassed about what you're struggling with because like I always tell people, you're not alone. Like I have a men's group that that I go to, and it's just and you have some men come and they don't want to open up because of the masculinity, like, oh, because I'm a man I can't share this. But in reality, in order to get help with it, you have to be able to
Share.
not feel the fear of sharing or what society tell you that, oh, you shouldn't talk about that. Like you're a man, you shouldn't feel this, or society or people telling you what you should not feel. But trusting in yourself that you're doing it with the cause of to be able to help yourself. You don't know who you will help when you share or when you have those conversations. People think it's awkward and weird when you have personal conversations. Like, uh, I'm not a social media person. Like, it's cool, but I feel that let's have a more deep dive into like what are you struggling with or how do you need help. Most people that I come across, like, how can I add value to you today? Like when people say, hi, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. Like, no, it's not you're doing good, but like, how you really doing? Take the time to think about how you're really feeling and be
Yeah.
able to express what you're feeling
Yeah.
and get comfortable with expressing what you're feeling. We're so quick to want to express our anger. We want to express like, oh, I love you, and I'm this, I'm that. But are you comfortable with expressing how you're feeling? Not your emotions, but how you're feeling deep down inside. Some of us feel empty because we never felt love before. Some of us feel, you know, heartbroken because of our childhood. Some of us feel trauma and we're afraid to talk about it. We have to basically become a society to say, I want to become a better me. In order for me to do that, I have to speak up about me
Yeah.
and not feel judged. You know how I say the older you when you young, you thinking like everybody care about what like who you are and what you're doing. When you get to like your 30s, you realize like people don't care. When you get to your 40s, it's like nobody really cares. So your ability to talk about your trauma, where you lack at, only promotes your ability to create a growth mindset, a healthier relationship with yourself, setting healthy boundaries, and reestablishing values that pertains to who you are today.
And it allows you to lead and lead
Yeah.
from within, because it's going to build your confidence. I am so excited that you joined me today, Larice. Tell the people, if you could give them three major tips that you want them to walk away with, what would those 3 tips be? And then tell them where they can find you.
Tip number 1 is love yourself. Understand the importance of self-love and who you are and what it means to spend time with yourself. 2, cultivate a growth mindset. And a growth mindset just really allows you to learn more about life and be open to expanding your confidence, your leadership ability, and just being able to grow within yourself. And 3, surround yourself around like-minded people, and not people in your same circle, but people you can learn from people you can be educated from, or a mentor, or a great podcast that allows to pour inside of you. So those like my 3 things is basically self-love, cultivate a growth mindset, and learn more, and find a community of people that allows you to grow and be who you really truly want to be. You can also find me on Instagram at I am Larice Peoples on Instagram. You can follow my website at thepeoplesuccess.com. For anyone that is interested, I have a webinar on unlocking your potential on March the 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And you can find that at thepeoplesuccess.com/unlock. And you can register there. Tammy, it's been a wonderful opportunity to be able to speak with you today. I know we kind of talk about a lot, and I hope that, this is information that inspires other people to lead from within themselves, to build confidence within themselves, understand the areas of life where they are struggling to cultivate a growth mindset for themselves, and understand that you're not alone, and that every day that you step out on faith, on ability to take risk and challenge yourself, is another day for you to build your confidence, not only for yourself, but for those around you. Be the example.
Awesome. Again, thanks for joining me. It has been a pleasure. I've enjoyed our conversation. You guys, you want to lead from within, not just from a career perspective, but from your life perspective. Remember, love yourself so much that the love from others is a bonus. See you next Tuesday.
That's a wrap on another episode of Loving Me Before I Love You. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a second to show your support by subscribing and leaving a positive rating and review on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Stay connected with Tammy. Make sure you're following her on Instagram and TikTok at Coach Tammy Nicole. If you like to work with Tammy or have any questions you'd like her to answer, please head over to www.IamTammyNicole.com. Until next time, always remember to love yourself so much that the love from others is a bonus.